Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into a crucial, yet often overlooked chapter of history, the economic destruction of India during British rule. India, once a land of immense wealth, rich culture, and thriving industries, was transformed into a poverty-stricken colony under British imperialism. But how did this happen? How did a prosperous nation end up being looted for centuries? Let's explore the truth about how India was economically exploited and the lasting impacts of British colonial rule on India's economy even to this day. Before the British arrived, India was one of the wealthiest and most prosperous countries in the world. The Indian subcontinent was known for its thriving trade networks, including exports of textiles, spices, and precious stones. The Mughal Empire, though it had its challenges, was at its peak in terms of wealth, cultural influence, and economic output. India had a strong agricultural system, vast mineral resources, and a vibrant artisan culture that flourished for centuries. In the early 1600s, British traders under the British East India Company arrived in India, seeking profit. Initially, they were just merchants looking to establish trade relations. However, over time, the East India Company began exerting control over Indian territories. Through a mix of diplomacy, military force, and manipulation of local rulers, the British East India Company gained more control, effectively turning India into an economic colony. As the British consolidated their rule, they started draining India's wealth. The British implemented policies that severely damaged India's local industries. India's textile industry, once a global leader, was crushed to make way for British factories. The British exported raw materials from India, cotton, indigo, and spices, at low prices, while selling manufactured goods back to India at high prices. This system ensured that India remained a supplier of raw materials and a market for British products, keeping the Indian economy dependent on Britain. One of the most devastating aspects of British rule was the concept of the drain of wealth. A term coined by Indian nationalist leaders, it refers to the vast sums of money that were siphoned out of India and sent to Britain. The British extracted resources like gold, silver, and land revenues from India, leaving little behind. By the time of independence in 1947, it's estimated that India had lost over £1.5 trillion to British exploitation. This drained India's wealth and left it in economic ruin. Another tragic consequence of British rule was the frequent famines that ravaged India. Between 1765 and 1947, India experienced more than 20 major famines, which killed millions of people. The British colonial government prioritized exports over local needs, meaning that food produced in India was sent abroad, leaving millions starving. The economic policies put in place by the British led to widespread poverty, with India's share of the world's GDP shrinking dramatically from 23% to just 3% by the time they left in 1947. While the British did build some infrastructure in India, like railways and ports, this was not done for the benefit of India's people. These were built primarily to extract resources and transport them back to Britain. The Indian population was exploited to build these infrastructures through cheap labor, while India's industries remained undeveloped. The British didn't allow Indian entrepreneurs to flourish, and the country's industrial potential was stifled. The legacy of British rule has had long-lasting effects on India. The economic exploitation of India set the country back by centuries. Even after independence, India struggled to recover from the immense damage done. While India has made remarkable strides since independence, the scars of colonial exploitation are still visible today in its poverty, income inequality, and underdevelopment in many regions. The British left India impoverished, with a shattered economy and a generation of people who were denied the chance to develop their own resources. So, what should we take away from this? The British Empire didn't just rule India, it exploited it for its own gain, leaving behind a legacy of poverty and economic destruction. Understanding this history is important for acknowledging the long-term impacts of colonialism. We must remember that India's journey to recovery is a testament to the resilience of its people, and the fight for justice and equity continues today. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more history breakdowns. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.